Sup, dude? NBA players come in all different shapes and sizes. None are exactly alike, but two traits stay consistent in most. The insatiable desire to drive drunk and beat their girlfriend. I don't mess with that stuff, but to each their own. I'm not here to disrespect anyone, though both activities do happen to be illegal, which has led to many players getting in trouble with the law. One of the most famous examples is Hall of Fame point guard and current head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, Elmer Fudd, aka Jason Kidd. Right now he's coaching in the finals, but back in 2001 he was teaching his wife what a right hook to the mouth feels like. Because of that, he got arrested for domestic abuse, suspended for 4 games, and fined like $200. As long as the players are hitting their girlfriends and not their parlays, the NBA won't be too mad. Then in 2012, he went to the club, got drunk, started driving, and crashed into a pole. Based on those 2 instances, you may think he's an idiot, which is a fair assumption, but on the court, he was actually a genius. Standing at 6'4", 210 pounds, Kidd played point guard. The dude's court vision, creativity, and playmaking wizardry was elite. He was never worried about himself. All he wanted to do was make his teammates better. Over the course of 19 seasons, he dished out over 12,000 assists, which is the second most ever. He's without a doubt one of the greatest playmakers of all time, easily top 5. With just his passing, he would be great, but what made him incredible is the fact that he could do pretty much everything else as well. In terms of point guards, he was an elite glass cleaner, snagging 8,402 rebounds during his career. Westbrook will probably pass that total next season, but as of right now, Kidd has the most rebounds ever by a guard. His D was impressive too. The dude made 9 all-defensive teams and sits at second all-time for steals. The only real hole in his game was his ability to score. Throughout his career, he averaged about 11 shots a game, converting just 40% of them. This was because from 3 he was blind, and a bulk of his shots were long mid-range Johnnies that didn't go in, earning him the nickname Ace-in Kidd because he had no J. For a majority of his career at the rim, he wasn't anything special either. However, during his time with Phoenix, he finished well, shooting over 60% in close, but in Dallas and New Jersey, his finishing was pretty bad. You know what else is pretty bad? Your private data getting leaked. I don't know if you saw this, but AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommend those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Well, the wonderful sponsor of today's video, Aura, does all this for me, and best of all, I don't have to download several different apps because the company couldn't keep my data secure. If my info was compromised in the AT&T data breach, I wouldn't worry because Aura's always on doing the hard work of keeping me safe. Our very scary reality is anyone can go on one of those weird people finder sites, look up your name, and find all sorts of private information like your address. This can be prevented with Aura. They scour the internet identifying all personal information that's been made public and they delete it. Not only do they do that, but they also protect you from malware, monitor your credit and phone number, making sure it's not being handed out to robocallers. Getting all the online security features I need with just one subscription has been so helpful. So dude, if you're concerned about your personal information being out there, Aura is definitely the app for you. And if so, I'm happy to let you know they're hooking all my viewers up with a 2-week free trial. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off your private information, or you can go to aura.com/NBAGoober to start your 2-week free trial today. Link is in the description, and big thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. Anywho, growing up, Kidd's skills were honed on the courts at Oakland, California with the help of this one dude who was 4 years older than him. That dude's name was Gary Payton. Kidd started going to the playground at around 12 or 13, which is when he first met Gary. Payton saw a ton of potential in the dude, so he gave him hell when they played. He would abuse Kidd on the court verbally and physically in hopes that it would toughen him up. This resulted in many nights where Kidd went home crying, and he even debated quitting because he thought he sucked. But in the end, Gary's abuse made him hard. Pause. By the time he was in high school, he had that dog in him. According to a prep writer, during Kidd's freshman year, he was already better than Gary, who was a senior. The miniature Pale Magic Johnson can do everything, including win. He led his school to consecutive state championships and became National Player of the Year. There was so much hype for him. Gary started calling him Joe Montana because of how big his name was in the Bay Area. Despite having the ability to go to pretty much any college he wanted, Kidd decided to stay home and go to the University of California, Berkeley. quickly. Before he got there, the Golden Bears were dog shit. They went 10-18 the season prior, but during his freshman year, they went 21-9 and made it to the Sweet 16. The game they won to get to the Sweet 16 was a huge upset against Duke, who was fresh off winning back-to-back national championships. In that game, Kidd shot like the lights were off, but he dished out 14 assists, grabbed 8 rebounds, and nabbed 4 steals. The next year, he brought them to the tournament again, but they lost in the first round. Sure, it sucked he couldn't take them deeper, but it didn't really matter because through 2 seasons, he proved he was ready for the league. During his sophomore year, he averaged an impressive 17 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals. But Purdue's Glenn Robinson had him beat, putting him 30-10, making him the most coveted prospect in the draft. The first pick was Milwaukee's and Dallas was second. The Bucks picked Glenn, which the Mavs were chill with because they wanted Albino Johnson. They wanted him because of his extremely unselfish game. In the 1992 draft, they picked a score-first wing named Jim Jackson. Then in 1993, they picked another score-first wing named Jamal Mashburn. The problem with that is only one person can score at a time, so the 2 young stars started beefing, calling each other ball hogs and whatnot. By picking Kidd, the problem was thought to be resolved, and it was, but not for long. In Triple J Ranch's first season together, it was all sunshine and rainbows. Jim averaged almost 26 points, Jamal 24 points, and Jason was named co-rookie of the year alongside Grant Hill. He also got 7 votes for MVP. The dude's scoring was horrendous, but he was elite as a floor general. His strong desire to push the tempo and swing the rock helped the Mavs improve by 23 wins, finishing the year 36-46. The future looked bright, but the next season got very dark very quickly. Jim and Jamal's hate for each other had only grown stronger, which led to Jason complaining about it, which made Jim start hating Jason. Then there was a rumor about Jason arranging a date with Toni Braxton, but when he showed up to take her, Jim was there and he took her out instead. That probably never happened, but the rumor spread like a wildfire, making Kidd look like a cuck. Whether it was true or not, one thing was for certain: the Mavs sucked at basketball, finishing with 10 less wins than the season before. Individually, Kidd was great, getting selected to his first All-Star game, averaging 16.5 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and over 2 steals. But he wasn't happy and he wanted to leave. So 22 games through his third season, he got traded to the Suns. In Dallas, he was restricted by their weird, very bad offense, but with Phoenix, Coach Danny Ainge let him play fast and free. He flourished over the course of the next 4.5 seasons, leading the league in assists per game from 1998 to 2001. He also made 3 All-NBA first teams, 2 All-Defensive first teams, All-Defensive second team, and the playoffs each year. Kidd and the Suns didn't put up much of a fight in the postseason, but hey, it was a step up from the dumpster fire over in Dallas. With many first-round exits in the books, Phoenix looked to move in a different direction. That direction was young rising star point guard Stephon Marbury. Unlike Kidd, he could get buckets, but was also a great playmaker, so they traded Kidd to the Nets in exchange for him. The Suns loved Starbury's potential and saw a very bright future. They ended up being horribly wrong about that. Marbury ate Vaseline and Kidd transformed the Nets from embarrassment to contender. Outside of Kidd, New Jersey had some good players, but they were not thought of as a threat. Despite this, in his very first year with them, they made it to the finals. Sadly, Shaq and Kobe met them there and they got brutally molested, but it was okay because the very next year, Kidd led them to the finals once again. This time it was against the Spurs. Through 4 games, the series was tied at 2 apiece, but New Jersey just couldn't handle Tim Duncan and lost in 6. You have no idea how good Tim Duncan was. Although Kidd lost in both finals, it's insane how he was able to bring such a mid-squad that far 2 years in a row. It shows just how much he knew about winning. Without him, that team may not have even made the playoffs. In the seasons following, Kidd and the Nets were a playoff team, but like Joel Embiid, they couldn't get past the second round. Because of their struggles, on February 19, 2008, they traded the aging Kidd to the place his career began. He joined playoff choker Dirk, fresh off getting humiliated by the We Believe Warriors. At this point, Kidd was 34 without much athleticism remaining and was a shell of his former self, but he could still make a solid impact. One big reason for this was he worked at his 3-ball a ton, which showed on the court, becoming a serious threat from deep, hitting over 40% of his deep balls in 2009 and 2010. Though it wasn't enough to restore Dirk's honor, losing in the second and first round of the playoffs. Entering the 2011 season, the Mavs were a joke. Dirk was 32 and consistently embarrassed himself. Kidd was 36 on the verge of retirement, and the rest of the team was pretty old too. There wasn't much hope for the ragtag group of misfits. But then out of nowhere, they shocked everyone like a thumb on the butt, going on one of the most insane playoff runs in NBA history. They beat the heavy-hitting Lakers, Thunder, and Heatles, becoming the 2011 NBA champs. Although Kidd was old, he was a huge reason they were able to win it all. He averaged averaged 9 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. After that ring, he played a few more seasons, retired, then 9 days after retiring, became head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. He brought them to the second round of the playoffs, proving he had what it takes to be a coach. Then he became the Bucks coach for the next 4 seasons, playing an integral part in developing Giannis into the freak he is today. Unfortunately, after a disappointing start to the 2017-18 season, the Bucks fired him, but he went on to become a Lakers assistant coach, winning a ring in 2020, and now he's in the finals again with the Mavs. The dude knows how to win. Well, not so much against the Celtics. You know who else knew how to win? This alien, aka Sam Cassell. The last video I made was on him. You can click here to watch it. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye, dude.